In cytoplasm, there are metabolites. These are biomolecules like amino acids, sugars, etc. Metabolites divided into primary and secondary. The section name is primary and secondary metabolites. Now these are involved in cytoplasm in chemical reactions. These are amino acids and sugars. These are primary metabolites like carbohydrates, right? In normal physiological function, their functions are known. So these are primary metabolites in cell. In second, in so we see the some secondary metabolites. Secondary metabolites. These are alkaloids, flavonoids, rubber, essential oils, antibiotics, colored pigments, scents, gums, and spices. So these are secondary metabolites that do not have identifiable functions, right? Now, this table, some secondary metabolites given. So, like secondary metabolites, pigments include carotenoids, anthocyanins. So, carotenoids and anthocyanins are present in group of pigment secondary metabolites. So pigments, these are the secondary metabolites that includes carotenoids and anthocyanins. Alkaloids, secondary metabolites include morphine and codeine. Then terpenoids includes monoterpenes and diterpenes. Essential oils, these metabolites, secondary metabolites include lemongrass oil, oil, lemongrass oil. See terpenoids, monoterpenes, diterpenes. So terpenes, common word. Toxins, the secondary metabolites include urbine and ricin. So urbine and ricin are the toxins which are secondary metabolites. Then concanavalin A is lectins, the secondary metabolites. Then vinblastine and curcumin, these are the drugs. These are secondary metabolites. Then rubber gums and cellulose. Cellulose found in plant cell. So these are polymeric substance. These are secondary metabolites. So we have seen the some secondary metabolites that do not have identifiable functions. Okay, pigments, alkaloids, terpenoids, essential oils, toxins, lectins, drugs, and polymeric substances. Okay. Now in section protein, in the cell, this chapter is biomolecules, not the cell chapter, and the section is protein. Some proteins and their functions. What is protein? Protein is amino acid joined together by peptide bonds. These proteins in our body has functions. So we going to see some proteins and their functions. Like protein, collagen found in animal world. Collagen. Cellulose found in plant world. Whole biosphere, cellulose, like grasses, everywhere in the nature almost. So protein collagen function is intercellular ground substance. Okay, in tissue you see intercellular ground substance like the tissues, the mast cells and all that. So this is collagen, right? The proteins, their function is intercellular ground substance, they kind of attachment, intercellular ground substance. Now trypsin is a protein in stomach. Oh, right, in digestion, so it's an enzyme, trypsin. Insulin is a protein, like diabetes, for diabetes patient, insulin, it is a hormone, right? It is a hormone that converts the, that lowers down the blood glucose level, from blood glucose level drop down by insulin, which is a hormone. Now antibody is a protein. Antibody, there are lymphocytes, T lymphocytes, B lymphocytes, so these are antibody. Okay, which is a protein and function is fights infectious agents against disease causing organisms. When you get sick, when you get fever, this antibody protects you, so that's their function, and these antibody are proteins. Okay, helps in immune system, to maintain the immune system. Now another protein is the receptor. The receptors in the hormone chapter, there are membrane bound receptors. Okay, intragenomic receptors, sensory receptors, motor receptors, kind of receptors. So the function of these receptors, they sensory reception, okay, to sense like smell, taste and hormone. You see, it's given that is hormone. The same thing, intramembrane receptors, okay, membrane bound receptors in the hormone chapter. So these receptors are proteins. And the last protein is GLUT4, GLUT hyphen dash 4. So GLUT4, the function is enables glucose transport into cells, enables glucose transport into cells. Okay, glucose present in blood. From blood, the glucose enters into the cell by GLUT4. So that's their function. That enables glucose transport into cells. The glucose transporter is GLUT4. So what we have discussed? So what we have discussed? Some proteins and their functions. Proteins like collagen, trypsin, insulin, antibody, receptor and GLUT4. Inside the cell, there are various inorganic organic components inside the cell, in cytoplasm, in organelles inside the cell. So an average composition of cells, we see what percentage the components like water, proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, nucleic acids and ions are found. So first component, water. Before that, water is the most abundant chemical in living organisms. Water is the most abundant chemical in living organism. Water is a chemical, most abundant chemical found in living organism in cell. So percentage of the total cellular mass is highest of water, which is 70 to 90%. Okay, this is why we drink a lot of water, we need a lot of water, right? Now the proteins, they have important functions. So 10 to 50% of the total cellular mass is made by proteins. Now carbohydrates that we eat, like kind of Indian food, that is roti, chapati, wheat, right, gives carbohydrates. So these carbohydrates, like 3% of the total cellular mass, carbohydrates, right? Percentage of the total cellular mass, a cellular mass, right? Nucleic acids 5 to 7% and ions is 1%. So this was the average composition of cells. So what we have seen in this we have seen some secondary metabolites, primary and secondary metabolites. Okay, then average composition of cells we have seen. We have also seen these some proteins and their functions. The proteins collagen, trypsin, insulin, antibody, receptor, and glutathione.